to my Tritone Substitutions guitar lesson. Sandra Sherman here. Greetings from Austria. You can download all the lesson material like the tabs, guitar pro tabs, scale diagrams and backing tracks from the link down below in the description box. And now let's get started. So how do tritone substitutes work? We're in the key of C, by the way, for the entire video, because that's easier. And we would have a 2-5-1 in the key of major. Usually that's a D minor 7 or something. Then the G13 or altered. In a solo you would alter it, so that's a G altered chord. 7 flat 13 and a C major 7 or a C6 9. So that's a 2-5-1 in the key of C. And now let's look at the 5 chord, because that's the one that we're going to change by a sub 5, which is an alternative term for a tritone substitute. So we have that G7 sharp 5 chord here. That's the standard altered voicing on guitar for this chord. So G7 sharp 5. And now we want to substitute only the root a tritone away. A tritone is 6 semitones. So if I count this up, not including the root, the first tone, because you want to have 6 semitones intervals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gives you a D flat or a C sharp. Now let's change this root, the G, by a D flat, which is on the A string now. So instead of the G, I play a D flat. And what do I get now? I'll leave everything else as it is. So now suddenly I have a D flat 9 chord. And that's the whole point to it. I have a different chord, but it still has that same function. Let's call it like that. Same function. But it sounds a little more interesting. And we now have a bass line from D minor, D, the second degree of the scale, to the D flat is a semitone. And look at that voice leading. Isn't that great? Everything's moving a semitone except for the F. And then I will go down probably to C6, 9 to keep that great voice leading intact. And now we suddenly have this bass line instead of this jumpy 2, 5, 1, D, G, C. Now we have D, D flat, C. So that is really cool, while the function still remains the same. Now the thing is, as a rule, changing from an altered chord, the G altered, which we usually do in a solo to create tension that is then released to the 1 chord, the sub 5 always is the opposite. It's a non-altered chord, okay? So we can do the same thing up here on the D minor, let's say 7. Then we would have, let's look at the G7 sharp 5 chord, sharp 9 chord, sorry. Then we would have a D flat 13 chord. If we just change that G by a tritone away, which is the D flat, and we have a D flat 13 chord. So the altered chord G becomes an unaltered chord sub 5 chord. So that is always the rule. So since usually we alter the G, the tritone substitute is always unaltered. Okay, and so that's the first thing you need to memorize. And now why do we do it? Well, we have a chromatic bass line. D minor, D flat, C. And while we still have the same, not quality of sound, but still the same function, we actually have a different quality of sound now. So that's maybe more interesting. It's maybe just for a change you do that once in a while. And the other thing is, you don't have to tell your bandmates in advance that you're going to be doing this, because you can do it on the fly. Bassists do it all the time without telling anyone, because it is completely compatible. It doesn't matter if you play or you play. That is just a nuance that gives a new fresh sound to it. Check out my 251 starter pack with 5 easy lessons from my YouTube channel for the 251 topic. You're gonna have chords and soloing stuff in there, and all the lesson material is in there for best value. Go check it out. Here is the link. Now, while the D flat 9 works perfectly fine in this combination, what the tritone substitute is really about is the flat 5 or the sharp 11. The flat 5 of the D flat, that's the tritone substitute, the tritone, flat 5 or sharp 11, that's the exact same note. And that's the G again, so that's the root of the original chord of the G7 altered chord. So I want to have it in there again because it adds a really nice flavor. Let's look where it is here. Unfortunately, I have no way of playing this within the inner 4 strings, but there is a G on top. I don't want to have it on bottom because then I'll have it sounds like a G chord again. But if I have it on top, that's a little hard to fret, so that's why we omit the, that's a better angle. That's why we omit the A string and just play the upper 4, right? So the bass player plays a D flat, you play this. If you don't have a bass player, well, then it could also be a G7 sharp 5. You don't know. Okay, so if you play alone and you wanna have the D flat in there, you will have to fret it like this probably, but don't play the G in bass. Then you have all 5 strings, okay? And you can have a great voice leading here too, playing only the upper 4 strings. I would recommend having a plateau note, a top note that is always the same, on top. So that would be a D minor 9/11, 3-5-5-3, then D flat 9 sharp 11, 3-4-4-3, and a C6-9, 2-2-3-3. That sounds cool. This can also be played from the E string. And I would recommend a D minor 11, 10, 10, 10, 8. Check out my video on tension chords. Like 11 is a tension, okay? Then D flat 7, flat 5. Here's a D flat 7. You could play the 13 because that's an unaltered chord too. But a lot cooler than that is the flat 5 on top here. Here's the G again. So D flat 7, flat 5. You can play it like this. I can even play it like this. I always play it with the thumb. 9, 9, 10, 8. Same note again, and the same note for the C makes it a C major 7 or a C6-9. I prefer C6-9. 8, 7, 7, 8. So now you got a cool progression here too on the E string. You can help to keep the free video tutorials of this channel running by becoming a member. You can do so by clicking the join button right next to the subscribe button to see the available options. And yeah, please scroll down to see the second option. There is 2 options actually. The second one gives you great perks like mini lessons too. So thanks a lot. As you've learned, the sub 5 is unaltered with a flat 5 or sharp 11. Therefore, the Mixolydian scale with a sharp 11 is the correct scale to use over a tritone substitute. Before we start with the licks, I want to show you a real interesting thing about that scale so you understand the connection between certain scales and this one better. All right, we said that we substitute the G altered chord. And the G altered scale is the A flat melodic minor scale. So it's the 7th mode of the A flat melodic minor scale. The D flat 9 or D flat mixo sharp 11 chord, the tritone substitute, is the 4th degree of the A flat melodic minor scale. So look at this, you can also visualize this very well on the guitar. Here's the original chord, G altered. It's the 7th degree of the A flat melodic minor scale, and the chord for this is A flat minor 6, probably minor major actually. So here's an A flat, and then we get everything remains the same. I get an A flat minor 6 suddenly. I move to the 4th degree of that scale, exchange the root, and I have a D flat 9 chord. And they all have that same scale, right? I just wanted to show you that so you see that connection. It's the A flat melodic minor scale. So we start with just a normal lick in D Dorian. Check out my Dorian lessons. I have plenty of Dorian lessons up here on my YouTube channel. That's a hammer and pull-off combination. And now we come to the tritone substitute, the D flat 9. And I use the scale. Here you have the, in the tabs you have also all the scale diagrams. I made a PDF with all the scale diagrams as well. And I choose the E flat 7 sharp 5 arpeggio that is within that scale because it has the D flat in it, that's the 7th of the E flat 7. And it has the G in it, which is the 3rd of the E flat 7 sharp 5 chord. So that's a great arpeggio that lies within that scale. And I played here D flat, E flat, G, D flat again, and E flat. It's a symmetrical chord. Well, it's not, the chord itself is not totally symmetrical. That triad in itself is symmetrical, but the 7th is not symmetrical. But it looks very symmetrical also on the fretboard. And then going to E flat, F, to kind of encircle, we call this enclosure in English jazz vernacular, to enclose the C major 7, the 1 chord. And I just play chord tones with octave skipping. That's a technique very common in jazz. So just, I could have played it down, but I prefer to. And here it is at slow tempo. Lick number 2 starts out with a D melodic minor scale actually. Now going to the A flat melodic minor scale, which is the same as the D flat mixer sharp 11 scale, and 7, 8, 7, 6 pull off, 6, 8, 8. Now what is this? This is actually, I was thinking D flat 7. I was focusing on the D flat 7 flat 5 chord arpeggio. That's it. 7, 8, 6, 8. But I put a chromatic in between. And I go E flat and B flat. And then the resolution on a major 7 of the C major 7 chord, the 9th, and the 5th, that's a G triad. G triads always fit perfectly well over C major, but that's another topic. Slide to the chord tones of an C chord. Here it is at slow tempo. also starts with the D melodic minor scale. We start from the chord tone F. And that leads us perfectly well to the B, which is the 7th of the D flat 7 chord. So we start here for our tritone sub, go to the G, which is the sharp 11, A flat, and now that is a B major 7 sharp 5 chord. And that is another great arpeggio that lies within the A flat melodic minor scale, which is same as the D flat mixer sharp 11 scale. Complicated, I know. So that's B flat B. I hammer over that over to the B, D sharp or E flat, G and B flat. B major 7 sharp 5 arpeggio. In my tabs I have written this out so you know what is what, and you know if there is a arpeggio or what tools I use. Then the 9th fret, and that resolves to the 5th of the C chord, and again I use arpeggio tones in an octave displacement fashion. Right? Here it comes, it's low tempo. Check out my videos on the altered scale theory and altered scale licks, because you will find some similarities between the altered scale and the mixer sharp 11 scale for obvious reasons. Now, please give this video a fat thumbs up if you liked it, share the love and the knowledge, and I hope to see you next week. Servus, bye-bye.